How are you doing today? It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. It's outstanding to meet you. I tell you, you have been a lifesaver for me in so many ways that even your life story. When I first saw you online, talking about New Jersey, my dad was in New Jersey and all kinds of different things, and family and serial entrepreneur and all this other good stuff. And I was like, this is the one thing I was missing. And so this time, my life together, really.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. So what is your background? How did my background make sense to you? Like how did it resonate?
Well, I guess in my own right, I started out in the National Guard as a combat medic, and so I always wanted to help people. And so with that, being in the war and Gulf War and all that good stuff, and then I transferred into being a urology surgery X-ray technician.
Hmm.
And as far as that, figured that would be my lifestyle. But in the outset, I got out of the military and I was like, what else do I know how to do? So, so other than
Hmm.
medical stuff. And so I put out a couple of music albums and whatnot, and that's where I learned marketing and different things of that nature. And listening to your story, I've been married since I was 18, so I've been married 35 years now and five kids, and want to provide for them.
That's
These
amazing.
eight grandkids now, so it's crazy. And and when I got out, I kind of just went ham. I uh, 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 I went to network technology school for NT, started working at the internet service provider Earthlink. I became insurance salesman. I went to real estate home inspection school. I went to truck driving school and hazmat school, and worked in the oil and gas industry in North Dakota. And and fell back into marketing. And and once I became a service disabled veteran on small business, I incorporated and got registered as a federal contractor as a service disabled veteran. And that's when I found out that the contracts are out there and available in just about every
Hmm.
market, but the government pay on the back end. So therefore, that front end funding is what's needed. So
Super
when I saw
important.
your program, I couldn't help but yes, yes. So dealing with a lot of veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and service-disabled-owned veterans owned businesses. I'm being able to take the training from the autopilot and the VLB and just go crazy. From people that say, "Well, my credit score is not necessarily right,"
Mm.
so there's the credit repair.
Hmm.
Or as far as in product in advance, like say they want 1,000 laptops or 100,000 laptops. Well, where's those funding gonna come from? So,
Yeah.
hey, let's try to get you funded through the invoice factoring so you can get paid up front, and don't worry about the net 45 or the net 60 or different things like that. And so, the BLB kind of put everything that I had been through in my life in one bottle for being a consultant. And you always talk about marketing and promoting in a consultative manner.
Hmm.
And so, no matter who I speak to, whether it's a truck driver, whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's a IT sales or medical professional sales, surgical instruments or whatever, or even manufacturers, I'm able to talk to them in such a way that hey, there's nothing to worry about. Let's do business. So thank you, thank you. Yes,
No,
sir.
thank you. A
Thank you.
couple of things that's definitely worth highlighting from what you've been saying. First of all, thank you for your service. Obviously, you're a lifetime service, and you're a lifetime learner too. All those schools that you went to and how you train yourself from marketing. Whenever you got stuck, you found another way to train yourself and kept investing in yourself, which is a huge part. Which is honestly very difficult to teach people, right? So teaching skills to people when it comes to alternative lending, what products to go through, and all that stuff. That's like the easy part. Um, a couple of things that I don't know how to teach is one, work ethic, right?
Mm,
Um,
mm,
the other one is intuitively following the consultative model, right? A lot of people, and you notice this when you go through YouTube sometimes and when you're watching a sales training, a lot of the sales trainers are about closing people. But when you become a
sure.
consultant and actually communicate with people, like you just said, there's no actual sales happening because at the end of the day, people want to do business with people that they can trust. And when they
Sure.
notice that you're a trustworthy person looking to solve their problems, that is your
Yes.
sales style. It reminded me of the last week's weekly call that we had with our members, with one of our lending partners. This lending partner funds a few $1 million a month, and you might know Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was on the call and we're talking about different sales strategies and how to close more deals. And it was like, dude, just be yourself. Just tell people, have them talk about their business, like why they need the funding, why they need the capital. If you otherwise you're going to get stuck on explaining the product and trying to impress them. But people love talking about their business and what they want to do and why they need the money, because they wouldn't be really talking to you unless they have a problem. Like in your case, you looked at the government contracts and you immediately noticed that, yeah, government pays, but they pay on their own schedule, which is not good for a lot of the businesses. You're talking about net 30, net 60, net 90, even net 120 in New York. Like sometimes
Right.
that's that. 120 days for a small business is a very, very long time, right? They're not printing money. So they want to take the contracts. It reminds me that a few years ago, city of New York City hired me. They had a I think the program was called Centurion. Like they hired a few marketing experts, including myself, to go visit businesses in New York who are at least 25 years and older. They've been in business for such a long time. So New York noticed that these companies have probably fallen behind on their marketing and technology. So they wanted to hire modern marketing people. And my job was to go visit them and talk to them about how to generate leads and all that stuff. One thing I noticed is that all of these people, some of them knew that they can take advantage of these government contracts, especially in New York City. There's a lot of them, right? The problem is they don't have the cash flow to take advantage of it immediately. Then invoice factoring became a thing. And while I was advising them on marketing, I said, listen, you don't have to go through me, but definitely look for companies who can do that. That's your solution. And it's relatively cheap, right? So again, I don't want to, go on a tangent and talk about different lending options, but what you just said in a few sentences already dropped a lot of value for people who might be listening to this. Like you have the right mindset, invest in yourself, no matter what it is that you're doing. Have the mentality of service. You have 5 kids and 8 grandkids. That's awesome. So a very busy life, obviously. But we're glad to have you in BLB, and I also see that on your wall you have the flow chart. So has that come
Yes.
handy? Like, have you used it?
Oh, I've gotten lost so many times, and I just refer back to it because a lot of times, again, with my background,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of. I believe personally, finding out what resources you have within yourself, and then go that route. So therefore, with the chart, I may be talking to somebody about real estate because I'm a real estate home inspector.
Mm.
So now I refer to the chart when it's real estate. If it's truckers and equipment, because there's some companies or lenders that doesn't lend to truckers,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some that definitely focus
Yeah.
on heavy equipment. Same thing with companies that need marketing or working capital or different things of that nature. The chart keeps me in line, but there's so many different options through the BLB that yeah, you have the standard ones, and then you have the list that you gave out. So it's like perfect. I'm like, I have no fear. I'm like 10 feet tall and bulletproof when I'm walking to people. So,
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So, what are you trying to accomplish, Anthony, through BLB? Like, what's your goal? Is it generating some side income? Are you trying to do this 100%? So, what brought you here, and what are you trying to get out of it?
I'm definitely trying to do this 100% because I've been in the logistics and trucking industry for over 14 years. And I was trying to, I definitely can listen because I'm driving 600 miles a day from Atlanta to
Mhm.
Dayton, Ohio and back, and or out to Kansas City or out to Nevada or whatever. So I'm definitely listening. And then I'll be like, I'm gonna do the work or take some steps uh, when I get my break, my 10-hour break.
Mhm.
But then you're so tired and you fall asleep or
Of
whatever, so you
course.
don't get much accomplished. So right now, the VA is working on trying to get me to 100%. I'm at 80% disability right now. So I'm
Mhm.
taking that and putting full faith and effort into BLB, my system, as far as marketing and branding my company, Granville Bullion Affiliate Group, LLC,
Yeah,
which
we'll
is
definitely put the link below this video. Anyone who wants to, obviously, as you can see, Anthony is an extremely hardworking person and ramping up his business. So if you're looking for funding, if you're watching this video and if you like what you hear from him, definitely check out his website and get in contact with him, and I'm sure he'll be glad to help you out.
Oh, thank you so much. I use that as my main marketing piece because when I'm talking to people about branding or marketing or expanding and talking about how we can, if we can work together or have a teaming agreement, then we could possibly get you a state, federal, or local government contract. And
Mm.
don't worry about the funding because we will, definitely work with what you have to accomplish that solicitation. And so, in doing so, people are instantly attracted to what I'm talking about, and then I let them speak. And then so I take the information, and the business cards come out. I got digital cards on my phone, so I could send out the link. Um, I mean, from photographers, the government might be building a brand new building. Well, they want it from
Oh,
start to
interesting.
finish. They
Mhm.
may want pictures of that maybe quick $80,000 you make on that in a
Sure.
4 or 7 week turnaround. Again, they may want some external hard drives or whatever, and you just get them ordered from the manufacturer or the store, which have you, and get it shipped to where they display it at. But they need that upfront funding. So again,
Yes.
you know, it just works. It fits. It's like you say, the sexiest product on the planet. It's money. You know.
Yeah. Instead of you
So
trying to focus on a specific niche, you focus on people who focus on specific niches who need money, which gives us the greatest leverage, right? So if, let's say, imagine you were a photographer, there are only so many business types that you can do, right? First of all, you are restricted to your geography. You're not going to do the photography job to anyone in the country, right? But you can focus on them, or anyone who's in the service business, like you said, we can help them get the front end capital. Then with that, it gives them the leverage so they can bid on bigger projects. And once they get
yes,
into the
sir.
cycle of this, like, it's interesting within BLB community, we have people who are automatically getting 10, 15K a month in recurring revenue because of the invoice factoring. They set up a couple of manufacturing places who work with major brands like Walmart, CVS, and governments. So they keep getting recurring services from them. The government contracts them for that, for a payment job or fencing the school or doing painting for Walmart, and they know that it's going to be a minimum net 90. But if you work with an invoicing company, so that builds up anytime they use it as the broker, you're getting paid. So we have
Yes,
many examples of that, of people who are making recurring revenue for years by just doing that. Because the beauty of this, when you focus on businesses who have that rhythm, like ongoing thing, if for invoice factoring companies usually charge like 2 to 5% interest. It's not like crazy interest. So it's far better option than waiting for 90 days for your money, right? So once you get someone hooked up with one of our partner companies, it's I forgot the percentage, but they were saying that retention is over 90%. So it's not
right.
like they don't just use it for one project. They keep using it over and over again because, again, it's better to lose 3%, 2%, 5% than waiting 90 days. Sometimes it's not even an option. You just can't do it, right? So you can't be out 150 grand and wait until the money comes in. So that cycle, it gives you I guess you can call it a residual income, and there are a lot of repeat income options too. That's very interesting that you're paying attention to what the customers are going through, like photographers. I would have never thought of that, but you're right. They're needed for bigger projects too, but then they got to get this stuff printed out and pay another contractor. I don't know, that could be another 10 grand out of pocket, and most small businesses do not have that handy.
Yes, sir. Certainly. I mean, this is an election year. So therefore, like your inaugural balls and whatnot, somebody has to lay out the party look, and put the tables and the chairs and the decorations. Somebody has to do the food. Somebody has to be the entertainment. All of those are what they call NAICS codes. Those are industry standard positions that they pay for in
Mm.
the billions of dollars. And so therefore, that service must go on. So somebody's going to be elected president, and that inaugural ball is still going to happen. And so this is just so amazing. Another example, um, goodness, is that it really doesn't matter what the industry is as long as they have their business established correctly and has a business bank account and the credit scores that's working directly. Um, it's an angle, some kind of way that you can work the BLB system and the blueprint into your conversation. And
100%, you nailed it. And
and
have you
even
been? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And even with referrals, the last approval that I got came through a referral. The lady does taxes, and she deal
Uh,
only with business people to do their business
yeah.
taxes. And this was a janitorial company, and the janitorial company was seeking additional funds to hire more
Hmm.
staff and have more working capital, and even open up an additional facility in a different state.
Hmm.
And now you still want to get into real estate. So we're gonna try. I'm really trying to work with some of the real estate options that we have. So with
Yeah.
that client, so you can go in depth with the client for one thing, and it turn into multiple things.
Especially since we're dealing with money, right? So, and sometimes you start to climb with one product and they notice that you're capable of helping them. It opens the doors for other options. Like you said, the referral opportunities, right? Because they probably do know people. Like, for example, my accountants, the people who do my taxes. So, since they see the business, they became referral partners. Like, hey, we have like 1,000 other clients and they need funding. What do we do? And I simply told them, hey, these are the partners that we use. Like, go through them. Not only if you choose to, you can get paid, but you can also help the customers because when you think about it, bookkeeper, accountant, they're in a difficult position. They're looking at the numbers. They can see how someone can use capital, but they don't have options to recommend. I mean, most of the time, the options they give somebody is like, hey, did you check with your local bank to see what they offer? And you and I know the answer to that. That's not going to happen for a small
Right.
business. Good luck with that.
Exactly.
So then you can apply for credit cards, but you don't know enough to apply for what credit cards and what sequence and how much you can get approved and things like that. We did just this past week, did a very in-depth training on what you just referred to, SLOC, syndicated line of credit, helping people get access to capital through their own credit. And I think you recently funded, deals through that too. So that's awesome, major success. Um, yeah, that's very interesting. Like hearing other people's perspective and what they do with BLB.
I think you're doing an outstanding job, and I respect you for taking time out to even put this in place for a person like me that I know I needed for the different industries. I didn't even go over all the industries, but I was an insurance salesman, for
Uh-huh.
AIG. I was, medical advisor and patient coordinator, and me and a doctor opened up a clinic here in Atlanta for men's health, and Boston Medical Group, and all kinds of different things. And then it all came back to me to say, okay,
Yeah.
how do you utilize all this knowledge, resources, and certifications in this platform and and use it and make it work? And now there's proof with my recent deals through BLB that I can speak, utilize, and talk with any CEO, any salesperson, any marketing agency. Um, it's just incredible. I think I froze up a little bit. I'm sorry,
No,
but
I can still hear you. That's okay. Yeah, your message is very strong. All that life's work all finally came together. So it's almost like
yes,
you've been preparing for this industry, right? So you know how to talk to these people because of your past experiences. You always invested in yourself, so you can speak with confidence when in this business and even higher tier businesses. Because I know a lot of people get intimidated if they need to talk to a CFO or CEO, but they're not different than you and I. As long as you start having experience with that and have the confidence and the product and services and you can what you can deliver on, it's just a matter of practice, right? Once you go through one or two of them, you notice what they're looking for, what they need help with. And a lot of times you notice that they lack the resources, meaning they lack the contacts like you. They don't have an Anthony who can bring to the table all the stuff that you know about the alternative lending industry, right? So it's a lot. It has a lot to do with being resourceful. So I love that you're sharing that with us. Usually, other
standard.
industries
I mean,
have list of restricted industries, right? Other businesses, you have pages of restricted. With us, pages of industries that are approved, which is honestly most of it. Like that's why when someone asks me like, who can we fund? I'm like, the question is, who can you not fund? Usually, like maybe a few industries that we can't touch. Everything else, even the industries that you never heard of. One of our members, I think
mhm,
this was like last year, funded a private airplane. Like
mhm,
someone wanted to buy a propeller
yeah,
airplane for like 500,000 or so, and I guess wherever he's
right.
buying from, they couldn't finance it. Came to one of the lenders, got it funded. I didn't even know that we could do it. I'm like, this is awesome. So not only, and someone, I think you can find in the community, someone was posing in front of the airplane they bought because of a BLB
Yeah.
member, and they paid him like 20 grand or something like that. I'm like, so I'm afraid to say what industries we can't fund because I've seen it all. I don't know. Like it could be anything.
Right. Well, speaking of airplanes, my focus with the military was tires. They need everything:
Oh,
tires for the trucks, the military police cars, the helicopters, the aircrafts, all the warfighter planes. They need tires. So
oh.
therefore, like that's a huge multi-recurring process. So I get in touch with the tire manufacturers to
Yes.
be able to have that relationship to say, hey, I need this because my client needs this. And that's my real mission for GranvilleFundsMe.com is let me get you some funding for a contract that will be reoccurring and a giant client. That's my main word. And speaking
Mm-hmm.
of giant client, even with deposit, I love an opening processes with
Oh,
deposit
yeah.
to talk about everybody has a card swipe.
Yes.
So, so let's start the conversation off there. Then we can move into marketing or branding
Yes.
and get into funding or expansion. And so you made it so thank you.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, that vendor conversation reminded me of a training that we were recently in Miami. I don't know if you were part of BLB or not. We did a Miami event. I had Cheryl Tibbs as one of the speakers. She's from our community. I call her the queen of equipment leasing. She's been averaging like 40, 50K per month in like money in the bank account pretty much. And one thing she said that hit me that I said, I don't say this enough to our community, but she did nailed it. She said, guys, if you want to have long lasting wealth, like make a lot of money, work with vendors who sell stuff. Because once you become the preferred company, you don't need a lot. Even if you have
Right.
two, three of them, even if it takes you 6 months, who cares? Because that's like recurring funding all the time to what you're saying. It could be tires, engine, whatever. I don't windshield wipers, like whatever they're using, there's constant financing that would need to happen for equipment. I was like, wow, that is actually very awesome because you already have the back end of it, like who can support it. It's just a matter of becoming to go to guy or go to girl for those companies. And she was like, she threw some numbers. There are tens of thousands of vendors in the United States, and
Yes, sir.
they have no clue about what it is that we're doing. And she was like, instead of spending your time on individual businesses, do that a few times until you get the gears going, but spend that time on the vendors if you want like repeat income in large quantities. I'm like, mind blown. Like that's insane. That she is so right when you think about it, because when you have those relationships, I had a similar example of that with accountants. I had 20, 30 accountants that refer business to me, right? But the business they refer is usually random, whatever they have. But when you're working with vendors, it makes you an expert in that area, right? So you can talk to every client, your closing will go through the roof.
Yeah. And I found with the equipment in general, whether
Mm-hmm.
whatever type of equipment it is, number one, there are declines. So what are you doing about those declines?
Yeah.
And a lot of them only have one financial method in their organization. Like
Mm.
I was at tractor trailers one time in a trucking book, and in the back of the book, they was like, if you want any of this equipment, come to this one person. Well, that one person I'm sure has declines, but at the same time, the whole company doesn't have any other options. So I
Yes.
was like, boom, hello, how you doing? Let me see if I can find some of those people that, that's being declined by that one source that you have. So when an organization only using one scenario, one financial option, there's no problem having two.
Yes.
I want to be that number two,
Absolutely.
or
And when you
option,
think about it,
So
Anthony, just because they have one, it shouldn't be discouraging. Like I used to experience this with the accountants. I would call accountants and talk to them. They'd be like, yeah, we have a guy who does the funding. I'm like, awesome. I'm glad that you're set up. How do you like their process? Ah, don't get me started on that. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, listen,
right.
I'm sure he's trying to take care of you, but are you open to having another person? Like, if he can't help you, is it okay if I try at least? Because I'm not trying to get the other guy fired because I want just because there is one person doesn't mean that they're extremely happy with that person. Maybe it's out of
Exactly.
convenience was set up that way and they didn't touch it. Now there's an option. So I never talk negative about the other person because I don't even know the person, right? There's no need for that. But they would be usually it would open doors and they'd be like, sure, let's try it. But I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm
Hmm.
like, nope, I'm not asking for guarantees. Just let me know what the other company cannot fund. Any turn downs, any bad deals that you think is not going to work. Give me a try. Let me work on it. And that would open up so many doors. Like you said, doesn't matter if they have someone because like
Right.
companies need more than one resources sometimes, and you don't even
Exactly.
know what the other person is doing is not doing. So don't let that discourage you or anything like that. There's huge opportunities.
That's true. And just to add to, I know I'm a talker, so my wife's there.
I love it. Yeah, you're dropping a lot of gems here.
But what I was looking for is to show you. Oh, here it is. I'm gonna just randomly open a page. As you can see, all of those are businesses, and that's their directory. Page after page after page of
Wow.
businesses, and all the information is in there online and in their directory at the local county chamber of commerce. And I was like, you talk about organic lead generation.
Yes.
Oh, God.
That is
So
just incredible. That's such a big resource. Now you're a member, you have a talking point with them, right? You have something in common. That's incredible. Yeah, that's a great resource for
it's
anyone who want to look into it. Another thing, Anthony, that I did a lot is that whenever I'm in a town, like especially a town that I live in, there are always these magazines about the town, right? So I would always pick them up. You always see, similar to what you've shown me, a list of businesses. Now you have a commonality for them. I live there, you're a local business. If you don't know me, I think Grant Cardone used to say this, if you don't know my name, I apologize, that's my fault. Right? It's not your
right,
fault because I didn't take the time to introduce myself.
right,
So I don't approve everything Grant Cardone does, but that saying, I'm like, wow, that's so impactful that if I am starting this business, if people don't know my name, it's not their fault, right? We can't blame them for not knowing you. You got to be out there to let them know. And in BLB, we provide all those assets. Like you can, like you said, what you've shown, you can print it out, take it out there. They got to know who you are and what you're capable of doing. Many people don't wake up and think about alternative lending. They don't know what we're capable of doing, right? So it's our job and duty. I think it's a part of service too. Obviously, we're going to make money, but we got to let people know that they have options. So it kills a lot of businesses because they don't know what they don't know. And when we have the
right.
information, and I think that gives us obligation to share that information with other people. Any last words? Again, I know you're a busy person. I don't want to keep you. Anything else you want to add before part ways?
I would just like to say, whoever's just starting, um, just dig into yourself for what your specialty area is. Like
Mm,
if it's sales, if it's not, if it's marketing, if it's whatever it may be, there's an avenue for that. And if you don't believe it, go to census.gov and look up the NAICS code. The NAICS code will tell you what those industries are for
yeah.
what you do, and that's what the government budget is spent on. Is each NAICS code. That's how they know what budget. I mean, what money is being spent in what area. And so for me, when you go into insurance, when you go into vehicle or equipment sales, or you go into real estate, and then there's a lot of things that people don't even think about. So
Mm,
there's endless amount of people. I heard a wealthy man tell me one time, he said, if your business is with people, you'll never run out of clients because people
wow.
are born every day.
Yeah.
So
So true. Just it totally simplifies the game, right? If you're dealing
yeah.
with people, you're not gonna run out of business. Yeah, don't make it complicated.
And just start talking. Open your mouth and let the words come out. There's plenty of training. There's plenty of scenarios. I like everything that Dick has put in place for the training, and um, and I appreciate the opportunity for letting me speak my little truth a little bit.
Oh, love it.
So,
Yeah, this is that's why I noticed that I haven't done these interviews in a while, but more than anyone else, if no one watches it, it still won't matter because I'm learning a lot about each of our members and what they go through. So it's a training for me as well. But yeah,
yes, sir.
don't hesitate to reach out. I'm never too busy for people that I know personally. Now I know who you are. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time and your information and approval and the gift. Thank you so
And
much.
oh yeah, that's awesome. Take care, Anthony. Bye bye.
Yes, bye bye.